order of 4.1 and 4.2, so that we can discuss the plans once Brian gets here.
Do you have your copy of this?
I got that, just the agenda.
So do you want to join us over here, or do you want to sit over there and
You want to,
Yeah.
whichever?
That's fine.
oh, she did it. You want to just put that over there for when Brian comes?
Okay.
Sorry.
We're getting organized here. Okay, so with the switching of 4.1 and 4.2, and is there anything anybody else wants to add to the agenda?
Nope.
All right, then we'll take by consensus that the agenda is approved as amended. And minutes, has everybody had a chance to read the minutes of the last meeting? Back in November, so it's a long time. All right, somebody want to make a motion to approve the minutes? Kathy, seconder. Gary, okay, all in favor? Okay. All right. So, 4.2, next step, revised project timeline. We don't have a late item, we have a verbal report.
Yes. I think that's something that they'll be working on, but I think it's not super important at this stage. Basically, we've scheduled meetings with Johnson and Davidson and their team of consultants monthly up until June, when we will do the tendering. So we're going to meet again on April 11th and hopefully review the drawings at 50%. And then again on Thursday, May 9th at 75%. And again on June 6th at 95%, and then 100% working drawings, tender ready package for June 18th, barring any.
We got those written down somewhere?
No, but I'll send it to the committee.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
thank you.
So that's the Firehouse staff working group that's meeting with Johnson Davidson, which consists of Ian, Aaron, Jen, Kathy, myself, and Daniel Martin, our planner, has attended our last meeting and was really valuable, and Raj, our chief financial officer, as well. So yeah, so that's basically kind of an overview of the timeline, kind of a macro view. I don't have any specific details at this time, but I'm sure, like I said, Kim will be providing them at some stage. But they're really just kind of ramping up and getting momentum with the working drawings and moving into the construction drawings. Kathy, anything to add?
No, I think you've covered it all.
So, Ian, did you want to add something?
No.
Okay, so when you say 100% working drawings, June 18th. Oh, sorry, I can't see you
No,
down
I
here.
think it was the same question that you were asking. It's just, if
Oh.
all goes well here, what are we looking at, June or something like that for tender documents?
June
Where does that
18th is
say?
when we want to
Okay.
publish the tender documents.
Okay, so where,
Yeah.
what approval steps are needed before those tender documents are published?
So I was just going to reference my report that went to council, because it was outlined in there, and I'm not recalling it for some reason. So based on the report that went to council on February 19th, we're to come back to council sometime in May, depending on the project process or progress for the building permit application, to proceed with the building permit and authorization to waive associated permit fees, and to proceed to the tender documents. So that's in line with our timeline as of now, with the
Okay,
June
so-
publishing, and then in July sometime, depending on how long the tendering process is, to come back to council with the results of the tender for approval to enter into construction agreements.
Okay, so award the,
Award the
Contract.
contracts.
okay, so just thinking of the timeline and the fact that we don't meet in August, it would be really important
Yes.
to make sure that those tender documents go out the door by June 18th, which gives you a month, less than, and if you allow a month for the tender process, you haven't got enough time to do any discussion and negotiation with a tenderer.
Well, if need be, there's always the option of holding a special council meeting.
Yeah, but I guess,
We would of course prefer not to.
that's what I'm saying, so I think from a timeline holding feet to fire,
Oh, yeah.
it might be nice that, those go out earlier than June 18th.
I mean, that's totally possible. I think we'll just have to get updates along the way. I mean, nothing's set in stone, but this is what Kim and their team is confident about, and I think, if we can get it earlier, we definitely will. If the drawings are done and the tender packages are ready, there's no reason to hold off. By any
Well, we
means.
could certainly pass along the fact that, you know, this is a concern.
Yeah, and the council doesn't meet in August, or doesn't want to
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a good team with staff and our consultants,
I'm
and
not-
we're all motivated to move this
I'm not
forward.
arguing about
Oh, I
it
know
being
you're
a
not,
good
you're
team
very
or
supportive.
not ever, it's just more keeping their feet to the fire because they
Mhm.
probably have more than one ball in the air.
Is this
Like I said, they have some serious momentum right now, and they're really excited about the project and the pace we're kind of going, so I'm really confident in this timeline.
I was just gonna suggest, in support of what you're saying, Alison, because it's a very busy time,
Yeah.
and I'm sure what we'll be doing is checking in regularly to make sure we're at the top of the pile as far as getting kicked off.
Yeah, Kathy and I are the main points of contact with them, and we've established a really good relationship, and I think,
Yeah, we had a conference call with them a week ago, and then a physical meeting this week. So.
and Kim indicated at our meeting today that, you know, if things come up, like they did last week when we had our conference call, you know, we discussed some grading and kind of site challenges that we kind of needed to get ahead of before we met today. And so we'll plan those conference calls as needed to answer any questions or things that arise before our physical meeting so that we can get as much done at those meetings.
Okay,
So-
now,
That's
my
good.
other
You can
question,
try to
yeah.
maybe work on things like unresolved issues.
Mhm.
Yes, exactly.
And keep a list of those, like a checklist, and just keep at the consultant to make sure that there are no others, and that you're answering the ones that they have a problem, because
Yeah, in our
if you
meeting,
back off, consultants will tend to go to other people who have
Right.
problems,
Yeah.
so
No, we're keeping the
Jen
pressure on.
and Ian
as you
have,
know,
Yeah.
You talking from?
experience.
The squeaky
The
wheels.
squeaky wheel,
Yes.
that's it.
from our meeting,
We're being super squeaky.
from our meeting today,
Perfect.
Jen and Ian were tasked with coming back to them in 2 weeks' time with, you know, several things. I hope you guys took notes about what those are.
Good.
So we
don't-
will do those
We don't need
check-ins.
to register our disappointment that we didn't have a written timeline.
I will register that disappointment, duly noted.
Now, what about costs, Dave?
So that will happen, I think, in the next phase of the drawings. Do you guys glean that from today's? I think that's what she.
Yeah, there was a few things that we asked in the package
And she's,
regarding, like from timber frame, blue lamb, to Wilson Joyce system and things like that, so.
So they're gonna be providing us with a couple different scenarios on costing.
with
Wood
specs,
or
with
steel, there's no
including,
going back and forth on this?
Now we're still,
Wood, yeah.
it's all wood.
You can get grants for that too.
No,
Yeah.
not for fire hall.
not far.
No,
We're doing well,
but I
it's
think I was
getting,
thinking through BC Wood,
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
because
BC Wood or
pushing-
something like
pushing-
that.
BC Woodworks will give us an award,
oh, okay.
which
well,
maybe
it works.
gives us some money, but not, I don't think there's any, necessarily any
Financial.
grants, but sometimes there is certainly nominations and prizes and stuff like that.
So my takeaway was that at our next meeting, we'll have a better idea of where we are in terms of costing and things that, you know, don't need to be included right away, things that can happen in future, and just pricing for those and planning for them so that, you know, when the time comes, you know, there's electrical to the kitchen island or
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
space for the extra gear storage, et cetera, et cetera. So they're gonna do different spec sheets for the different scenarios.
Which they did before. Okay.
And just to be clear, that I think also helps facilitate us moving ahead quickly. As I made clear this morning that Hope and I were there more from a higher level set where it's Jen and Ian actually
Jen
are
and
the
Aaron, yeah.
and Ian and Aaron who are making the decisions about the
Technical.
specifics of the building itself.
Yeah.
The operational side of things.
Oh, right. Well, I don't know, Ian, would Brian answer a text to let us know whether he's on his way? You think? Just don't.
It was part of that conversation just when we're thinking of that, well, not thinking of that, but the second floor thing, that's in consideration?
Second floor for the
So
amendment?
so when we
Yeah.
get to that.
As far as the preparation,
Yeah,
For
for
that.
point loading and.
Yes.
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
The drawings, what they've done
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
accommodate that.
Yeah.
When we get
Perfect.
to the design, you'll see that the
Oh,
second
okay.
floor has been accommodated in here.
okay.
We're trying for it.
Beauty.
Oh, right. So I'll just skip down to information item 5.1, that the island plan is there as an information item, but it's there more to show everybody that it still is a strategic priority on council's strategic plan
To finish.
to finish. Is to complete the fire hall? Right.
One of the things we talked about to keep the momentum going is, as everybody knows, Ian is retiring as fire chief, but we would like to, irrespective, keep him on
Oh,
our
yeah.
staff working group, as well as I would like to, once he's no longer fire chief, recommend that we appoint him to the fire hall facility steering committee.
Absolutely.
Totally agree with that.
Do we want to go through the process now of amending the terms of reference so we can do that?
That's actually a very good idea. So we're ready, poised and ready to go. Yeah.
So would somebody like to move that the fire hall facilities steering committee recommend to council that the terms of reference for the fire hall facilities steering committee be amended to allow one more member of the public?
I'll second that. Thank you.
Oh, here.
Oh, hi there, Brian.
I'm impressed.
Look
He's
at
no,
you go,
he's
girl.
no nothing. We got
Wow, I just come from San
Where
Diego.
did all of Brian's stuff
Oh,
go?
did you?
They're all put up there.
Now, didn't you go into the same time that Crow did?
Yeah.
No, he was a bit after me.
And
Oh,
look at
is
you.
he still lying in his
I
bed
just
whining?
did Sandy
Eating
Logan's
bonbons.
Yeah.
House of
bonbons.
Torture, as I call it.
Oh, you're looking
Hey,
good.
hey,
Looking
hey,
good.
Brian, we're live.
Okay.
You wanna tell her that again?
We're live on TV here. On the video conference.
I'm still here.
Not that
Oh, you look
anyone's
good.
watching it, I'm sure.
No, that's pretty Sandy.
He's got coffee.
You're not looking for me. I didn't take my motion.
No, I've already done
Okay, we've done everything except 4.1, which is the review of the plan. So we approved the minutes. Next steps, they're hoping to have tender documents issued by June 18th. And so now we're into looking at this package. Okay. And I'm
So-
going to find my email.
Does anyone want to lead this?
Who wants to lead this discussion?
Yeah, well,
I mean, I'm happy to, but you're more technical.
well, basically, yeah, you can see by the drawings, what we have done is reversed, or turned the building the other way around. And that was simply because of the lay of the land, and economically, this was gonna be a whole lot cheaper to do it this way.
Yep.
We've also had moved it forward. So part of the apron will be on the municipal, I guess at some point.
Road right away.
Road allowance or whatever, so.
Okay, so I'm looking for my list of questions.
So Allison, to earlier you mentioned the need for having, or the desire to have the trucks fully pulled out onto the apron, not extending into the road right away.
Yeah.
So.
I'm assuming this sort of dotted line along the
This is the
bottom is the
property
actual
line.
property line.
That's
Right
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
correct. So the apron does extend 35 feet into the road right away.
And where the existing path is the white strip and the gray lines at the bottom of the drawing.
That's correct.
Yeah.
There's still, one of Daniel's concerns when we had our conference call last week was future,
Yeah.
not so much, not so much
Roadway.
widening the road, but a multi-use trail. And this still allows
For
a
3 meters.
3 meter wide multi-use trail to be put in.
All right. so that was one of the reasons.
which would not impede the function of the fire hall
Right.
for the purposes of that.
So to Alison's question then, that there's 36 feet left between the doors and the property.
That's what it's 35 feet.
35 for
30.
4.
3511, wow.
I thought,
Okay, and that,
Pretty
and
close to
Ian tells
36,
me
yeah.
a ladder truck would
Yeah.
be 35 feet.
so there's 11 inches.
Well,
Theoretically, we're okay.
And, yeah, depending, you can get them with like extended bumpers with, water attachment, hose attachments up front, which would add an extra, up to almost 2 feet on that, so it all depends what we're ordering.
I just don't want to be stuck in the position where we have to either compromise a piece of equipment we order, or we can't get it outside the bay to
Sit
work on
and-
it.
Well, you're talking down the road, like
Down
if they
the
ever
road.
decide to
Yeah,
widen up.
yeah.
I was assured that would never happen.
Bob and
Sure,
Daniel were
the
both
road would
very
likely never
confident
widen.
that road would never need to be widened, because it is already very wide. There's lots of space, and the road allowance is very generous,
It is.
So,
even given the entrance.
And our architect is also confident that
There's a
this
big
will
ditch
allow
there,
the
too.
equipment, this won't compromise any future equipment.
because,
Some of the other changes that are,
but it could if we couldn't use anything past that dotted line.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, so I think from a security perspective, we need some sort of written agreement or understanding that we have at least 6 feet to 8 feet of this is never going to be built on, used for anything.
I don't know if you're.
An agreement with ourselves?
If you're gonna get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I mean, we could certainly discuss that with our planner and see what Daniel
Yeah,
thinks
because
about.
otherwise, I mean, I can't see Metro deciding to do a great big huge development in here. But, yeah.
You know, and I think one of the other things we have to underscore with this new design, with the building being flipped and with it being brought forward, although that was brought up more at the political level to try and achieve some space in the back, there is a significant cost savings with this design and bringing it
Just from
forward because of the
topography.
grade.
Yeah.
If we had it left
That's
it in the
true.
original design, we would have had a huge retaining wall and a lot of fill put into
Over
the back.
here.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brings me to my next question. If we did build this bay,
Mhm.
then is this wide enough to still have and be able to be turned into a
Yes.
driveway?
so Kim, we discussed that this morning, and so the future bay is currently shown as a road, and with the green space on the other side, so in the event that we expand it in the future, that lane would become the future bay, and then the green space would
Become-
essentially become the road access.
Okay,
And is that wide enough to get through properly with a truck?
Yeah. it is.
Kim indicated so,
okay,
yeah.
so I think to prevent arguments in the future, so maybe the plans could say,
We're
it's
going,
future driveway,
yeah,
on that
so
green
we,
buffer.
yeah, so we
Otherwise, we'll
agreed,
get pushback when we go to build the driveway.
we
Good
agreed to show this as green space for the time being, so it's not immediately going to be
A driveway.
a driveway, it's just going to be just shown as green space, but it'll all be graded as such, it'll just be landscape area until we need it.
Okay, but can you label it on the drawings, future driveway?
Kim is going to do that, and instead of showing it as an arrow drive-through right now, she's going to show
Well,
it
she's
as
got,
just.
no, this is fine, this is arrow is fine here, but when we build this
Yeah,
future
yeah.
bay,
Yes, and
I need to know that this is gonna be the future driveway.
Yep.
And the public needs to know so that when we go to make it the future driveway, we can tell them, we told you that
There's
20
no
years,
hassle.
10 years ago that that's what this was.
And the
gonna
drawings
be.
that she
Should be a really
presented to
small
us this
radius.
morning show that.
Okay.
Really small.
Yeah.
But it's good to know, it's good to have that there so that nobody
Yeah.
complains in
Yeah.
the future.
I guess I'm having trouble just because we had a whole bunch of parking here before and a driveway.
So Kim
And-
also mentioned that the parking was better situated in the back, in the rear, because of those grading challenges, and just
And access to
And just
the
access to the rip and run area, as well as just having it kind of being tucked away and not so visual from the road.
Mhm.
Okay.
So what do we end up with, 19 public space?
Do we end up,
We're down to 19 spaces now.
yeah,
Yeah. You know, that's come down considerably from what was originally intended, and then it
At
was.
one point, we had 36, yeah.
Well, I think we only had about maybe.
And, you know, you're looking at having probably an ideal, as the community expands, the underwriters, we're suggesting up to possibly 36 members of the fire hall, all driving pickup trucks. So now you're down to 19. You're back in the situation of having people park on the road.
So what would be your suggestion?
More
For-
space.
No, you're not gonna get that.
Well,
We're not gonna get more space.
I don't have a suggestion, I'm just
Yeah.
pointing out
Yeah.
a fact.
Mhm.
I guess you could look at the question
Can
of those tanks in the corner there, and what would be
Sorry, what's that go?
these tanks in the corner?
Yep.
Look at the option of putting them in here,
No.
to allow
The
parking
idea
in front
was
of it.
to preserve the green space to meet some of the concerns expressed by council around the park and the view, the effect of the view from the park.
From trail, yeah.
So, is there the chance or potential that for now, the volunteers could park, you know, where it says Future Bay?
Because that will essentially just be
And then when we,
a gravelled area.
when we expand, it'll be a manned hall, they don't need as many parking spaces?
Because of the if I understood comments, there's to be, in order to make this a driveway, there's gonna have to be retaining wall put down there?
No.
No.
Oh, okay, the retaining wall's back
Would have been
here.
in the back.
Oh,
Would have been in the back.
Yeah.
Okay.
And speaking to parking, and I think I've said it at a council meeting, if there is an emergency and all hands are on deck and they have to turn out,
And park on the
bylaw
road.
will not be issuing tickets for firefighters parking on the road right away.
On the trail,
Yes, correct.
on the multi-use path,
Yeah,
Yeah. I think people can park wherever they want.
for 4 or 5 hours.
Correct.
Yeah.
I agree.
Makes sense,
I mean, we're a small community, I think that's.
Yeah. accommodation.
Okay. And what about parking when all of them are coming for a training session?
Oh, there's plenty, it should be.
No, there's 36
Well,
of
if
them.
they're
Well,
trying
if
to
they
come
create
together.
carpool.
If they're all parking in a parking spot, but this area that's all open at the back, even the way our hall is now, guys make it work, so.
And yeah, as Jen said, there's the idea of carpooling. We're facing the same constraints with the community center where there's limited parking and we all have to suck
Well, you
it up
can't
and deal with it.
carpool to a call.
But
Yeah, you
said
can't
training.
carpool.
You said
But
training.
if it's a training,
So could you back into those bays in? Can you back the trucks into the bays?
No, they're
You know,
open
the
both
ones in the
sides.
back,
I know, if this parking was
full,
full,
yeah, you should
you
be
could
able.
back in?
Yeah, or you should still be able to drive in,
Okay,
to drive through.
okay.
That's the.
I just was
yeah.
thinking of, it's a big issue and then you might want to park at the back, not necessarily in the parking spot, but just in the back, and you can do it.
like
Yeah.
double park each other, you're
Yeah.
saying?
Well, I presume you could
And
have
parking.
parallel parking behind the tent.
Because the truck will be going out forward and if,
Correct.
being at the back and there's an
Yeah.
emergency, you don't need to go around again.
Unless you had to get that truck that was at the back, but it would be the small one. Okay. So what about all these entrances? Why do we need all these different entrances? I'm thinking of security.
So she was, oh, you go ahead. No, it's okay.
So we discussed that, we brought your email, and we tried to address all the concerns that you had, Allison. So basically, all of the access points are somewhat required, by code. And the other part is just for ease of access. And we discussed security issues and the idea being that it's gonna be a fob system. So members will have fobs, and then in the back door where the rip and run access is, will be a keypad as well.
We could at the most lose one door.
That's what she
And then
indicated.
discussions, Ian agreed that we wanted to keep that one door.
Oh, okay, because I was really sort of worried about security and access and.
Yeah, so there'll be fob access, they'll all have their fobs.
I wouldn't rely on the fobs.
I wouldn't either.
I was living in a condo building where we had fobs. We found out that we had, after initial, from when we started to when to now, we had about 10 times more fobs out there in the public
Oh.
arena,
Yeah,
and we had to cancel hundreds of them.
and how
That's
many
expensive.
people keep their trucks locked?
Because
Well, Ian
people lose
mentioned,
them, they
yeah.
give them to their friends, and you know.
but Kim mentioned the same concerns with having keypad entrance, you know, you're constantly having to change the
The
code.
code.
Well,
And
it's
there's-
cheaper to change the code than it is to buy
Yeah.
actual
You know, you just
fobs.
don't rely on fobs. It's
We'll bring that up with.
a bad security
We
thing.
can discuss that.
Yeah, because have you ever had to replace your fob for your,
I mean, you can reprogram them, but they're still
Yeah.
out there. You have to continually cut people off and find out where those 300 are in 4 years' time.
Yeah.
And you got, okay, anyway.
Anyhow, that
I can
was,
see what you're saying. Yeah, it's just like security passes, the airport.
Yeah.
when you
So we'll flag that for.
Quit the first
for
thing
Yeah,
you do is
I
take
can
your
do that.
security pass.
okay.
One of the other things that's shown on here that will be moved is the hydro kiosk.
Where is that?
It's right here.
Up on the right-hand side.
Happens pretty
Oh,
easily.
there, okay.
So it needs to be 20 feet from the building, so we're gonna ask Daniel if we can put it in the easement area. Just because there's essentially no other place it can be that's 20 feet from the building that's not in space that's already being utilized by another use.
And I assume this hatched entrance to the medical center is somewhat movable depending on where they put their building.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
So we'll need permission, I suppose, to put these tiles and stuff, whatever they are, in the right of way?
Daniel didn't seem to think so.
In the right of
The
way?
patio space?
The entrance space, yeah.
Anytime you encroach onto a municipal road right
Well,
of way, you
But
have
it's
to
us, don't forget.
I know, but that doesn't make it right.
No, that's
Just
right.
because it's us. You have to, you
Yeah.
have to get yourself permission to do it.
We did
Another agreement with ourselves.
We did discuss that at our conference meeting, and my recollection is that Daniel didn't have a problem with it, but I can follow up.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think just the flagpoles and the building signage,
She's
Should
gonna
be-
move that.
She's gonna move the flagpoles.
that's gonna be on
She's
the,
not gonna put those on.
up by the building, yeah, okay. All right, I'm just going back down. So the other issue I guess I had, which was coming back from the discussions at the council meeting, is there some, well, just, this looks like we're getting more land than what we had before, which is gonna maybe set some of it off, but I don't know.
Why does it look like that?
I don't know.
Sorry, I'm confused.
But I'm
exactly
looking
the
at this and we did have that line there, so maybe it's
Just
now that it's
zoomed in a little?
squared, yeah, maybe
Okay.
it's just. But if we ever became a staffed hall, then does the need for parking diminish, and therefore would they want to build something on this back triangle in the way of affordable housing or something, in which case moving all these
and
electrical
stuff.
things. I mean, is that the optimum location for them versus?
Well, from my recollection is there's no other place that these can go.
They can't go right beside the filtration
I'm
plant,
thinking between the, that, just up from the
or
filtration.
right in this corner here.
My takeaway was that it can't be by that bioswale.
That's correct.
Okay.
What did you want to put by the biosphere?
You can't put the diesel
They
tank right
wanna
by the
Bioswale.
bioswale?
relocating the fuel and propane to by
We can't
Bioswale.
the drain.
ask though.
Oh yeah, I remember her saying in our conference meeting, because I think we brought that up,
Yeah.
because we wanted to have that for future use, and she essentially said no.
Yeah,
But I'll make a note of it.
because if there was, that parking ever disappeared and do something there, then it would be very expensive to move all that stuff.
Can I speak to the
Yeah.
idea of, in the future of a staffed hall, you might be talking about 3, possibly 4 people,
Yeah,
but that doesn't diminish the parking,
okay,
because it would be a composite hall where you would still have probably 30 people that would be volunteers that would be responsible.
okay, so not a fully staffed hall, you're talking about not like North Van, Yeah.
You could never serve this community
with a
with
fully
4
staffed hall.
people.
Okay, so we need that parking forever is what you're saying? Okay, all right,
So is there any point in me asking?
probably not.
So my question would be all that green space in the back by the park, by more green space, why are we giving green space back to the park?
Well, that's a buffer. And it
Why
just
Why do we have
serves,
to put a buffer? Put it in the
Well,
park.
that was addressed at the meeting, the February 19th meeting. Council wanted to maximize the green space in the back and on the park side.
And it was also a request of Metro Vancouver that we try and leave as much of a green buffer.
That's
But
right.
I look at it as more as legacy land there that we're just not touching right now. It could be for future use for the
Well,
fire
as long as
hall.
people understand that.
Yeah,
yeah, well,
So-
if we needed.
Again, if you want to label that as future
But
Expansions.
that's the area that's really close to that trail, and it gets rid of all those objections about the parking being visible from the trail for now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the big win is not having that big retaining wall.
Yeah.
as well.
yeah.
So,
And where's the truck washing? Where are you gonna wash the trucks?
But they would just be on the front, okay?
or in the
On
back.
the front or the
Either
back?
or, but for now, I don't think we're paving the back, so the front should
Yeah.
have a oil and
Drain.
water separator and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect, okay,
Okay.
awesome.
And you'll have to pull out into the road along so you can walk around. Okay, so what other questions did I have? We'll look at the page along email.
Is it, may I ask if that electric vehicle charging station is open to the public?
What was that?
The electric vehicle charging station in the future, that's intended to be like I can go and charge my car there?
Where is that?
We're,
Yeah, right.
The electrical, it says electrical
Oh,
vehicle
future
charging
electrical
station.
vehicle
Yeah.
charging station.
yeah, I mean, we haven't discussed that, I would think
I don't think
not.
that's determined yet.
Yeah.
That's future in very questionable,
Yeah, we
very
are,
large.
we are putting into electric charging stations, that'll be down on Cardina and the Cove. So those will be
Oh,
going in
wonderful.
sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah, we got the money for that.
I would have concerns with people parking in front of the fire hall if we put one in there and just impacting. But yeah, so we are moving ahead into the 21st century with,
So would you leave those there? Would you leave that label there?
I'm gonna make a note now.
I think, no, I think we should probably take
Well,
it.
I wonder if she's got it there in order to run whatever electricity
Yeah.
wiring needs to be there in the building.
Yeah, let's ask that question, because I didn't actually pick up on that. Because we don't want to raise expectations that we're going to be
No.
putting a public,
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's gonna
No.
cost more.
Yeah. yeah, especially, as I said, we're putting.
I don't
it
think it
in the
would be
Cove.
public, it would be private, I would say.
And then what would be the purpose unless we have electric
Oh, we might
fire
have
trucks?
We
electric-
maybe
Yeah.
have firefighters or.
I think something you can do in the future,
Yeah.
Yeah.
privately and back.
So that biofiltration pond can't go in the other corner, obviously.
Well, that's.
No, because
it slopes that
it's
way.
on,
It's because of
it's
the
the
grade.
natural grade and
Yeah.
slope of
Yeah.
the
Okay.
lot, that why we're
Yeah,
utilizing
We're,
that.
we're realizing significant cost savings by putting it there.
By doing it this way.
So all our drainage goes in there? Is
Yeah.
that what it is?
Yeah, rather than underground storm.
Very good.
And
Um,
Bob's copacetic with the road along?
Yeah, he said he didn't care.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those exact words, I think.
Yeah, and I was more concerned what Daniel thought, and Daniel's fine with it. Like, as I said, his only concern is that we put a multi-use trail in.
Yeah.
Do we
And
wanna
we're
move on?
saving lots of money?
I don't have a figure, but
Well, yeah, 'cause
Kim
I-
said that we're saving
Should-
significantly on having to bring in fill,
Yeah.
and this design just works better with the,
I mean, this is what we had originally, and then we flipped it because of the power pole, but then,
the
One
power
of the-
pole is an insignificant cost at this stage.
yeah,
It's
but one of the
$7,000.
advantages of flipping it and having the bays here was it gave us more room if we ever needed to expand into land that we already owned and was being used as a parking lot. Now, if the mayor's standing committee has other plans for what was going to be that parking lot, then I'd be quite happy, because I'm also concerned about somebody pulling into the wrong driveway.
We discussed that.
Are you talking future expansion, Allison, beyond this future expansion? So, because there's enough room for
Well,
a
if-
future bay and a future driveway, so now
Yeah.
you're thinking about the future bay?
Well, maybe the, the police station decides they wanna connect, or the ambulance station, or, then you've got, yeah, that was just.
One of the reasons that also after they switched it, now everything's gonna be on one level. The way it would have been before, the administration was gonna be higher than the actual
Oh, well, that was never
truck base.
on these original plans, so.
No, that was
But-
because
but
when they went and looked at the grade and what was
Yeah.
going to happen.
We'll talk about that one.
And to address your concern about the access to potentially the health center,
Yeah.
we discussed that, and so there's this green buffer to ensure that the driveways are separated by a green zone.
Something that people can't walk through,
Yes.
Correct.
2 meters, yeah.
but thick prickly bushes that you can't walk through. Barbed wire fence.
We haven't selected the bushes.
Razor
yet.
wire.
Haven't got that stage yet.
Well, no, but I mean, you
But,
look
but
at
it,
all.
but it did, we did discuss it, and
And just one last question, if I may. There's no ditch along the front, is
No.
there?
No.
Okay.
was anything changed inside?
So the inside, I think she said, is pretty much exactly the same.
It's reversed.
It's just reversed.
But why has she got doors going into parking stalls?
Sorry?
Back here.
Yeah, they're going in the park, well, how
Oh,
do you
there's
get?
a little,
That's for
How do you get
public
in?
access entry.
that's the training rooms.
Yeah, but right now
egress.
she's got parking there.
No,
There's
she-
no parking.
Yeah, they took away from there, they took away the patio area, and
Yeah,
they put it on the side.
On the side.
yeah. So are those double doors gonna get moved to the side? So why would you want double doors
Yeah,
going
we'll
down to a
ask
bunch
that.
of cars?
Well, there's a green buffer zone in between them.
Well, yeah, but so if your green
Yeah.
buffer zone is two, I mean,
Yeah, she was talking more for like ventilation to open up and
yeah, but we
whatever.
were gonna have a patio out there, so what
Yeah.
I'm saying is those doors need to be where the patio is gonna be, and the windows switch to be on that side.
Yep. Noted.
Yeah, makes sense, makes more sense, actually.
Anything else change?
We discussed removing the wall between the compression room and the SCBA room to make it one room.
Yeah,
That's not,
Pardon?
that's going ahead.
Yes, so that was, we all
And
agreed
that's
on
okay
that.
from a code perspective, the compressor doesn't have to be in a separate room?
yeah, that way, so when we are working on them, we don't have to go, the way she has it now, we have to go outside for,
Okay, oh, got you.
And Kim was just doing it more for, because of the noise factor, but.
Okay, I thought it was in a separate room because the code required it to be in a separate room. Okay. And is the mechanical still upstairs?
Yeah. Sure.
Did I understand to say these two doors still exist, the back?
Yeah, they'll get moved to the
That's why I was
side.
questioning why.
From where
they
the
didn't
patio is.
like move over to
You
the-
show them on the first page,
Yeah, so right here though,
you can put an E on
where this
it.
patio is,
Yeah,
that will be the public access to the training area.
so we can stick a couple of E arrows there?
They're gonna move the doors.
Move the doors from back here to here.
Yeah, and put an arrow. Sorry, right here is a, you know the arrow that says E for entrance there?
Oh yeah, I made a note too and let them know about that, about changing
They're
that.
missing a couple of E's,
Yes,
is that all I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right, lack of ease,
It's easy,
put some more ease in there.
yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Not that really, doesn't matter too much,
no, it's good.
but just,
Didn't notice it this morning, so it's good.
I need your glasses. Ryan, how are you doing on this plan? Anything?
Looks the same as the old one, as far as the building layout goes, I'm sure.
That's pretty much just what. The other reason that they liked the idea of flipping the building was more from an aesthetic perspective, that you don't have basically a two-story wall between now and other future development. And,
Yeah, no, from that side, other
Just
than,
kind of a softer.
could have painted something real pretty.
hope, I just wanted to know what the, on the plan again, is this shaded area,
So
what is that?
that's a potential entrance for ambulance if, in future development, if
If the
the health
medical
center,
center
if the health center
Medical
is
center
developed on
goes
that, on the
Oh,
other
the
lot.
ambulance could come in and
They-
out of
The
there.
other way.
Yeah, they wanted the ambulance to be able to use our driveway,
Oh, okay.
not get tied up with Graham trying to get out of the medical center driveway.
Okay, good idea,
Mm.
good idea.
So why have we got the future stair in the middle of the training room? And on the next page. Future stair? I thought we were gonna put the future stair over here in the back of the kitchen
Um,
in one of the plans.
it's shown to be where the EMP officer is, or in the training room, I think that's
Okay, but why can't it go in the middle where the back of the kitchen, day room,
Yeah,
where those two chairs are sitting?
yeah, let's,
I
can we
thought
flag
that's
that
where
as
we were
well?
gonna-
I know what she's talking about, and I don't think they've moved the stair in these drawings, that's my guess.
Yeah.
so you think it should be, sorry, where?
Well, when we were talking,
Back in the day room.
it was gonna be, that's part of the reason for flipping the day room, was so that we could use that for the future staircase.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
And you certainly don't want it coming down into the middle of
The office.
the training room, or Jen's office. Oh, of course, you
Doing
could have the
Harry
whole
Potter
upstairs, yeah.
The office could, I think, be like maybe repurposed into stairs, I don't know.
Yeah, it could be, but then, because you get more office upstairs, but you
Yeah.
definitely don't want it in the
think
training
so.
room, I don't think. Oh, and then we're into ceiling types and. So is radiant floor heating still the plan for the bays?
It wasn't discussed on that one.
I can't imagine why it would be.
She talked about putting acoustic tile in the center of the training room, so it's not reflected on the plan, but it'll actually be a change from suspended gypsum board ceiling to gypsum board bulkhead around the edge, and then acoustical tile on
In the
top.
middle, so that's better for soundproofing. Yeah. Mezzanine area. Oh yeah, there's the mechanical, is the mechanical room still upstairs? So, So are these the uses for the future upper floor? Crew kitchen, day room, additional washrooms?
Maybe it's just an example of what could be provided upstairs.
It could also be accommodation quarters. Well, are you happy? What does that mean?
Static.
I'm heavily medicated.
You're heavily medicated, so.
On the last,
Okay.
page,
Well, this is just all more fine point details of what's going in where, right?
It's not really accurate, 'cause there's a patio and doors where there's actually parking on the image, so.
Where? Which page? are you on?
Sorry, the very final page shows a patio with tables and chairs and two doors. But if we went to page 1, like you pointed out, that's actually parking, so just has to be updated.
Oh, this is looking at it from the rear.
From the back, and it's
Oh,
important.
okay. Okay, so next step is to do a progress report to council, or is that needed in?
No, I think what we've committed to is going forward in May for building permit and.
Again in July for tender
Yeah,
approval.
for tender approval. So there's no intention of coming to council before that.
Okay.
I have a question there.
Yeah.
Is that area behind, where the fire chief's truck is that for a future big vehicle? Is that what that was intended to be? Is that,
I think she's just labeled those whatever. She didn't, because she's got the tanker in here too, so.
Oh, we're talking-
Oh, I see.
right on the main page, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
I
space.
just wondered.
No, because the fire chief truck would always be outside. It would be outside.
Probably not a good idea to show it in there, from a public perspective.
It would be a good idea.
Not a good
No, I
idea.
don't think it is, no.
I think
Change
we
that
should-
to
Yeah.
ESS
We should
trailer.
change it to future,
Put the utility 30 in there.
future
Yeah,
Utility.
new vehicle location or something.
yeah, I agree.
And so somebody's gonna say, what?
And
You know,
And why is it a temporary location for the wildfire trail?
So future vehicle, is that what you're doing?
But where's the wildfire trail gonna go?
Yeah, I don't know why it's this
So
temporary.
you'd get her to
We
take
could
it.
take out temporary location.
Yeah. I mean, I would, yeah, I mean,
I think you mark one of those spots out there, fire chief,
Mhm.
number 1, next to the door.
yeah.
Not the disabled parking space.
Well,
Let's
the-
not
the
give them that
handicap.
one.
Number
Yeah.
Number 2 can be the fire chiefs.
I didn't see that, Tim.
And number 3 can be the emergency plan coordinator.
Well, maybe the deputy fire chief. Then we.
Well, no, well, that's the other issue, though, you do need public, parking for public,
Parking, yeah.
in the front, so,
Anyway, not a big deal.
yeah.
Good point.
Okay. Well.
Looks very nice. Good job.
Comparing this one to this one, other than that we've lost a ton of part of it.
Aesthetically, I like the idea of flipping it, actually. Just
Yeah.
from the-
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
view of it.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot more pleasing to
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
the loggers. And it works exactly the same.
It's the heart of our community, and I think it's more welcoming.
Yeah, I quite agree.
Have you seen like a front elevation yet?
No,
What you see from the road?
no.
No, you've got it back.
They will, is it the next meeting?
It's the
they'll
next
provide
meeting, they're gonna provide us with 3D,
Modeling.
3D modeling, yeah,
That should be my question.
Rendering.
When we have conceptualism.
yeah, so,
Yeah.
So that's April 11th?
Okay.
What does it say on the sign that's on the site right now? Does it say
Future
future home, or does it say home of your next, your new fire?
Yeah, that's a good point,
The
Melissa.
sign is pretty out of date.
Yeah.
what does it
Yeah.
say?
Pre-referendum. It's
Picture.
just
Yeah.
invested in safety, new fire
Yeah.
component,
Yeah,
photo,
Home of the future.
thank you.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
just-
not the home of your new fire home.
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree with
would be-
Allison. Yeah.
It says imagine a new fire hall here.
Yeah, so maybe
Yeah.
it's time to say, this is.
So do we wanna get an updated sign, is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Well, I'm just, yeah.
I think it would
That
be a good
sign was
idea.
really cheap to make,
Yeah.
I think it's a
It's
great
just-
idea.
And it's old.
and it's
We weren't
old, and it's,
Expecting to keep it up this long.
yeah.
So
It still says thank you for voting yes, and that was in August of 2017.
yeah, so maybe once we have some renderings of what it's going to look like, we
Yes.
put something on the sign too.
Coming soon.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
Oh, coming
Yeah,
soon.
they've got that one by the school for the rec center.
Yeah,
It's been there 35 years. I think.
There's a new
There's
one.
a
Not
new
quite
one.
that long.
New one.
it's only 15 years.
So she hasn't got the sewer hookup connection on this map.
Would that be down here?
It's over here.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, where is it at?
It's over on the lot line corner, but I think it should get onto the map.
So
Because that's the other thing I was worried about is when they run the sewer line, it's gonna have to go low enough down so that we can have a future driveway on top of it without having to worry about, you know, truck weight.
Also, have to put a stub out for the library too, you know.
And I guess that's the other thing, with all this stuff going over here now, I don't, it may have to be hooked up sooner rather than later in the construction process.
The library one.
Yeah,
Well, in behind that, that's roughly where the
Oh,
septic field is now.
yeah.
yeah, but it's partly, I think, you know, maybe some of this and some of, you know, so it may have to, and I don't know whether there's anything in where the filtration pond, so it just may have to be put in sooner rather than later in the construction process.
The thing is to get the drawing to include the civil
Yeah,
work,
Mhm.
because he wasn't at the site today, he said,
No,
yeah,
but he would be doing adding his stuff onto something like this.
Yeah, and she said that, you know, a few of their consultants were away, so they weren't able to add their bits into this. But the next renderings will have mechanical and civil stuff included.
yeah.
yeah.
Yep, good.
I was certainly impressed with the electrical guy when we met him, he seemed to be.
He was great, yeah.
Yeah.
What's his name, do you know?
Bruce,
I've got his card somewhere.
I didn't get his
I
last
didn't get
name.
it last time.
I have it in email. Actually.
He's in the email, I thought I had his card, but
you know what company it is?
I can tell you. Bruce at roycampbell.ca.
Oh, that's a good company, yeah. Top class.
Jim brought them.
Who's the mechanical?
I'm not sure.
It's a gentleman who was hard to understand.
Civil?
It's hard to understand.
I don't have a list of who's who in the zoo. I just have a list of
Who's
who.
who in this?
Oh, sorry, did I say that out loud?
Did I hear that? You're
Just,
calling-
I just have who was on the email invite list, and it doesn't say who's what.
Good man, I'm curious.
I can find out.
Don't bother. It'll come up.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, at the next meeting, the civil, the mechanical, and the electrical will all be there.
I mean, Bob's gonna be there.
And Bob and Daniel and Raj will all be there.
As long as Bob's there, be fine.
Okay.
So I think we're making good progress. And I think,
We're getting good. We're going through this, aren't we? 5 to 3, the next ferry is 2:55.
2:55.
coming right now.
Right, see.
Is Carol picking you up?
Kathy will be on
Yeah,
that.
better give her a head.
Kath?
Kathy has
Going
to be
on
on that very
Of course, she'll be walking around.
Well,
Or
you could
no,
drive
give her a
Carol
ride.
down, or Kathy
Kathy,
down if
yeah.
Carol's coming to pick you up.
I'll just,
Okay.
And on the very back page, you can see how they've kind of incorporated that roof line from the bays without an overhang on the,
Yes,
So-
yeah, nice
So,
clean there.
so
yeah.
you can add to the
For
admin
future
side instead of
expansion,
having to,
yeah.
yeah.
for going on.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then
And how much
she's,
spaces are up top there? Did I say about 600 square feet or is it more?
Where?
Storage, storage
Oh,
area.
in the
Oh,
mezzanine
in the
area?
Yeah,
Um,
there's some numbers, but they're really small for my eyes.
63.74 meters
So
squared.
600.
600, almost 700.
yeah, but that's in that
Oh,
bit. What
sorry,
about this bit on
6
this side?
Well, that doesn't include the electrical or
No,
the,
but there's the mezzanine that's just sort of north of the staircase. And what about the bit between the staircase and the mechanical room?
I thought that
I think that
is
probably-
all part of the
included.
mezzanine, yeah.
Is that, no, but is that included in the 63.74 square
I think
I
meters?
would
so.
think, I would think,
Yeah.
yeah, because the other ones are labeled themselves.
Because there's 18 and 18 is 36.
Yeah, because if you look at the 200 square
Yeah,
foot one,
yeah,
it
no,
fits in
that would
about
be,
6
it's all
times,
included.
3 times.
Well,
Yeah,
it's good that it's sort of got the staircase in the middle, because then we could sort of separate and, you know, put a door and close off and. So until the mechanical guys really weighed in on the mechanical, we know this is all maybe a little bit up in the air. Okay,
I didn't get that impression, but.
oh, okay.
I felt like he'd been involved heavily in the process, he just
Okay.
hasn't.
Yeah, he was on the end of the phone on one of the meetings we had. And then Darren agreed that it was probably better to meet with him in
Yeah.
person because it was very hard to
Yeah.
communicate verbally. All right, anybody else got any other questions? Do you need a ride somewhere?
We wheel him out to his car.
Or did you, or you driving?
In terms of,
Yeah, let's turn it over to Sophie.
in terms of communications, like what would be our next milestone in terms of, like our next
Communicating to the
announcement to the public? Would that just be the building permit approval?
Oh, that's a long way.
Go
Yeah,
look at the
I'm
new
not sure
sign
what else
off,
we really
right?
have.
Well, is there some way to just put a little paragraph in the Island News that, you know, working drawings are well underway and,
Proceeding, yeah.
and we're, you know,
Tender's coming
we're, yeah, well, I don't know, we
summer
promised,
2019.
but
What about if you have the sign idea, I agree it's a good idea to update that.
Yeah.
This is the new home of the,
Yeah.
and then get all of council down there to have a picture taken of them to put in the paper.
Mhm.
All of council.
We'll try.
I think that would be a nice thing.
Yeah, and then do a little news release just saying what's happening, or on our way to, and then in May, once we have the building permit, then do another.
float a lot in the air.
There will be another communication piece, or maybe the potential, Hope, correct me if I'm wrong, but I got the impression today that they were really keen to make sure local tradespeople knew that the opportunity to bid would be coming, so that might be another way of letting them know.
Letting them know that that it's progressing, yeah.
Yeah, and if you're interested in being involved, maybe,
Yeah.
you know, send us your expression of interest.
That she was
No,
saying
we don't
she
wanna
just
do that.
wanted like
No.
name,
We just want a
company
name
name
and
and phone number.
so that we can give it, so when we do the, for the general contractor, has a list of local
Okay,
trades.
so
who
how
would
are
be
you gonna
interested.
get that list?
Mhm.
Without
Uh,
asking them to send their interest in being able to bid?
I don't know, we gotta come up with a plan with Kim. We just brought it up at our meeting this morning and thought it was a good way to get the local trades involved.
Yeah, so that's why I was using the word expressions of interest in.
But that's a whole nother process.
No,
We
we
have
just
to go.
ask, in your notice, say, if you're interested in providing services for the construction of the building, please let us know.
Oh, not a formal expression
Oh,
of
no,
interest.
no,
Oh, I
no,
see,
no.
gotcha.
Just
On the
ask.
sign, you mean?
No.
No, just
in
in our
advertisement.
communication, in our
Communication.
communications,
Oh.
we'll just let people know that we'll be tendering soon if you're interested in, to put your name forward.
Just,
Well, or
Just
for
check
being a
with-
subcontractor.
I'm not even
Subtrade.
saying that this is appropriate like,
Just-
now necessarily, but just
But just, I
something
think,
to think
yeah,
about.
something
just
to
check
think
with
about.
Kim as to what,
I think that should be done internally with the fire department.
Yeah, they're gonna do that as well,
I'd make sure you check with Kim as to what, how that
wording.
fits into her tendering process.
Oh, yeah, we will. We'll
So
be
you
in
don't-
constant
so we don't go
communication
in
with them for the
Different
next.
directions than she's going.
Yeah, because there's also the opportunity to tender the site prep separately,
But there'll be,
building too. Yeah.
yeah, we haven't touched, we're not gonna touch on this today, but there's a whole tendering process and stuff which will come later.
Mhm.
And how that's gonna happen, what the tender package looks like.
Yeah, so we're gonna discuss that in one of our next meetings. She brought that up, how we wanna do it, whether it's gonna be an open or a closed, opening. Yeah,
But, yeah, it's fine,
so those details to come, so stay tuned.
Yeah.
good, thank you.
Now, when is Emergency Preparedness Week?
May?
May.
Second week of May.
6 to 12.
So do we want to do the announcement in conjunction with that? When are you doing the fire hall open house?
Not really. It's my
June,
first
in the open house?
So you're not doing it in
June
conjunction
15th.
with emergency preparedness?
No.
No, we have a lot
Oh,
going on for
okay.
emergency preparedness week already. I'm not sure that it works perfectly with that.
So either before that or
Or
after
after,
that?
yeah.
is- Okay. I like before.
There's no harm in updating people now.
Yeah,
I'm certainly getting questions about it, so.
yeah.
Yeah, I think if we can get a conceptual something from Kim and team to include in our communications, it would be more exciting than just text saying we're
Mhm.
working on it.
Yeah.
I think, to kind of get people excited about it.
Picture of Kevin and his daughter when she's 20.
Yeah, that's right.
I like the idea of a new sign and getting a picture with council. I think that's really good for
Yeah.
undercurrent story and BIM communications. I think I like it.
Okay. Anybody else got any questions? Okay, all right. Are you gonna try and catch the
Yeah.
255?
Carl's gonna go in the lineup and I just walk down the hill to see her.
Or we can drive you down until you,
That'd be nice,
okay.
great.
We'll go drive you down.
Are we adjourned?
And I'm, yes, we're adjourned. I'll drive Bill down the lineup.